Hi, Sparkles.
Hi, Sparkles.
Hi, yes, I'm Gwendolyn,
I'm Jeannie.
I'm Joanna.
and we
And
have Miss
welcome, Kari. We have a special
Kari.
guest, Kari.
Yay!
Ooh.
Yay! So wonderful to have you with us, dear. Like we were all saying, we can't believe you haven't been on a bunch before.
It's like our water goddess.
Mm.
Yeah.
Should we
Does anybody want to take us in?
take a moment? We'll go from our heads to our heart. Connect to that beautiful space within. Feels so good.
Mm.
Yummy.
So look at our beautiful Kari. She's coming to share her sparkles with us today.
She wore her crown, that she is on the road with her crown.
Some fun traveling experiences you've been going through.
Yes, yes, yes.
I was really wanted to have you on when I saw your YouTube
Mm.
and the way that you responded to, the freak hurricane that came to your town, and
Yeah.
in a 3D it would be so devastating, and you were just so on top of it. It was unbelievable.
Oh, thank you for seeing me, Gwendolyn. Yeah, I really appreciate that. It was magnificent experience. As it was happening, it was fascinating because I have an 11-year-old son, and his dad and I are no longer married. And my son was like, Dad, you absolutely need to stay in this house tonight. There was no way Don was not staying in the storm with us. And it was Don's birthday. And then my last partner, which we're no longer together, haven't seen in 5, 6 months, came to get some jury duty mail that I had for like weeks ahead of time. And the night before the storm, he was guided to come over to get the mail.
Wow.
And it was Don's birthday. And so we all had a birthday dinner together, and then it started raining. And nobody was going to leave the house. And I'm with these past beloveds of mine in this house in a hurricane storm.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it's like divine orchestration. And I ran out when it was raining because nobody knew this was anything different than any other storm. Like this happens, like you get a rainstorm, it rains for 3 days. And so I just went out with my video and like, look it, it's pouring rain. And Mason kept pointing to, I have this St. Francis of Assisi
I remember
statue.
that.
And everything else is being washed from your yards, like old planters, like anything that's not anchored to the ground is just getting carried by this water and the wind. And I'm like, oh, that flower pot, I should have brought it in. I just saw it go down to the neighbors, like everything's just going. And Mason's like, he calls her Mother Mary, the St. Francis Assisi. And he's like, Mom, look at Mother Mary. She's holding steady. And I go,
Wow.
Mother Mary. And I look out there and it's the St. Francis Assisi statue that I got from my grandmother, who really like always prayed the rosary. And we had a history of, we're Catholic and, really in reverence of Mother Mary. And like my son isn't from that tradition anymore, but he just said, it's Mother Mary's out there, Mother Mary's out there. And it got lodged in between the trees as the water's moving through, like she's like blessing all the waters that is going through this land. And I was like amazed that my son would even notice this. He's like a YouTube kid, likes his iPad, It's like, and so yeah, so that was like that part of the storm. And then, we woke up the next day and the electricity went out. That's kind of typical. And then we realized we can't really leave our neighborhood was perfect condition. Like
Wow.
as the rain was coming in, um, I was Oh, you guys, there's one more story I could tell you. This is really fun. But anyway, my little neighborhood was in perfect condition. Flowers, we didn't think any big deal until we start driving right outside the neighborhood. You couldn't cross, like big trees are down. And then we're like, what? Like, we can't leave our area because there's no way in or out. And then we're like, what's going on here? And some people like try, and I tried to go to Montreat because all I wanted was my spring water. And I couldn't get clean. Like there's like no way you can move through your roads. And so all of a sudden we're like, and you don't have cells, people didn't have cell service, so it's like we have no idea what is going on here. So it was like this fascinating thing. But you guys will get a kick out of this part of my story. And I haven't shared it, but like publicly, I've only
We get
kind of
it first, yay.
the first year, like in the whispers. So I go to Montreat to this spring, and I always have like big 5-gallon things of water that I collect. You probably had it when I was there. And I
Yeah.
always have 5 on hand. And I ran out 3 days before the storm. And I never allow that to happen. And it happened. And so then the storm hit. Now I don't have water in the house. We don't have water. And I'm just like, no, I need my spring water. My body's craving my spring water. So I kept trying to get the spring water. And I'm so focused on the spring water. The next thing you know, I go into my basement, into a place like in the middle of like complete cement. Water is bubbling up. And I hear, here's your spring water, love. You have a spring under your house this whole time.
Oh my God.
Goodness.
And I was like, oh no, we're not creating this. Nope, 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 nope. Put my hand and I go, thank you, thank you. I know how powerful I am. I will find my spring water in another way, not through my house floor. And I put my hand on it and it turns to dust. It turns to sand.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So I have a pile of sand in this part of the basement.
What? And you've never noticed that
Whoa.
before?
Like completely away. Like no leaking, nothing else. It was here to show me if I really want spring
Wow.
water, I can get spring water wherever I'm like, it was just wild.
And it was in that instant.
Whoa.
Wow.
Well, I'm like, oh no, we're not creating this. And I put my hand where I thought it was coming, like, no, 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 no. I'll find a way to get my spring water another way. Not that like this did not feel choiceless, right? And then I went upstairs or something and I came back and it was all sandy. It was
What?
like sandy down there.
Whoa.
That's
some
amazing.
skills. That's incredible.
I feel like that's happening for us, is that whole like becoming aware of like we say something and it'll show us like it could be this way or that way, and then you're like, whoa, I could either choose this or that, and it can go either way with the one word that you choose, right?
Yes, yes.
I've been noticing that a lot lately.
This morning I was like, I choose to wake up vibrant. I've been sleeping so much and so feeling like I needed so much sleep and I wasn't going to get enough and la la la. And I was like, I'm waking up vibrant and refreshed, you know?
I
Oh my
love
God.
that. Yeah, wow. This time is really showing us how powerful we really are.
But
That
Kari,
is
it's like,
such a great story, Kari.
Yeah, I love that. And it's not a coincidence. We were there like a year ago, like in October. We were there with you, all of us
in
on
Asheville.
here.
In that
Yes.
basement, in your beautiful
That's right, in the
sanctuary.
basement, having our little, that's cute. I came late, but it was still
And it didn't come through those floors. It came on the other side, like in
Oh,
the,
okay.
the cement floors.
Oh, wow. Wow. But it's like water into wine. No, she turned water into sand.
And it was like
And
innocent, but I was so focused on the spring water. Like that's all I could think about in my head, So it's just the pure innocence of love, my love for the spring water.
and
Did you get water
just
finally?
recognized it right there, right? Like it just,
Yes.
you didn't have another thought of, oh my gosh, my house is leaking or something like that. Like
Yes.
you knew exactly what was
Yeah.
being offered to you at that time.
You didn't go into another story. You just like, abracadabra, here we go. No, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing me how
Thanks for
instant
redirecting my
this
focus.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. Gwendolyn, right after that, then I moved like after then we found out what was going on, I went to
How did you even find out if no one had?
um we went to walk. You walk around. We went for walks in the neighborhood and you're meeting people and you're talking to people and you're hearing what other people are experiencing. And the other really cool part is nobody had cell service except for the only two people I knew was myself and Mark.
Really?
Mark lived in Montreat and he was in communicate, like his calls always came to me. He's like,
Oh,
how are you?
wow.
Like it's like we had direct communication the whole time through our
Oh
phones.
my gosh, I just
And
got
somebody else, I'm like, what? You don't have cell service? And so I hand them my phone so they could call, their family and let them know they're okay. And it wouldn't go through. And then Mark calls me. I'm like, Mark, like people are trying to use my phone.
And then it's not working.
They can't get through. But Mark could call me and I could call him at any second.
And that was it.
Wow.
No one else could
I
no one
mean,
else
it
could
was
call
like
out of your phone or receive
it was
anything.
it was
And
like intermittent. It was like, intermittent, like you didn't know when the message was going to get through.
Mm.
Wow.
And
But
just so
I put that on Mark. He's
Mark
been
is
a huge way shore for me in this.
he's
Huge,
all of our friend.
yeah.
yeah, Mark is a friend of all of ours that has been in the same mastery experience of learning how powerful you are and sharing that with us all. And that's really
I just feel
that's
how
really
powerful it
cool.
is with you. Like, Carrie, you're there, Mark's there. Like, it just everybody around the world, but we're all connected. And it's just like all the masters are around the world. And, you're there with Mark and just other ones. Like, just because there's Rhonda is there and is
Yeah.
it Mindy or
Yeah. Yeah. And I forgot what it felt like. And I felt like my higher version was always with me. And that part of me was very quiet, like very whispering as like my human went like, we got to get water. We got to make sure there's food for everybody. Like it really went that human survival place. So,
yeah, I think
okay, who's doing what in this neighborhood? Like, how are we doing this? Like, we don't know how long. And I also became, very protective of all the resources, which was such a bizarre way of being in a way. Like, um, yeah, so I went, it was interesting feeling that survival brain again.
well, it's still there, right? It's still part of us, right?
Yeah.
Version of us.
Yeah, even though I knew everything was okay, and Lois and I, she's, my 80-year-old neighbor. My 80-year-old neighbor we went to Pisca Brewing. So people like were opening up like a brewery has underground water where they would fill their tanks to make beer.
Yeah.
And they had all of us come with buckets to fill up from that water tank.
I seen their
So
video, which was
wonderful.
amazing. Like it just the videos that you shared, it was just like for everybody else around the
Hmm.
world, like how technologies, this is why technology is great for those cases of able to everybody can know that you're okay or that other people are okay and that you could share this gift of higher perspective being there, right?
And I was like, how, like, I'm not gifted to move trees or put on electricity or to like, but when we were there, all of a sudden there's this, I was talking to these women that just moved into this really high-end assisted living place, right? So you kind of get rid of your stuff, you
You
trust that.
guys, are you hearing Carrie glitch out? I'm sorry.
No,
Oh, my glitch.
Are you guys hearing her?
no, she's good. Yeah, I think
Oh,
you're
good.
glitching out a
Okay, good,
bit,
good.
Gwendolyn.
Uh,
Time, but I would also just didn't want it to be a glitchy show. Go
but
ahead.
you're glitching a little bit.
Now that you mentioned glitch, it's glitching. Don't, let's
Oh,
call what we want to see.
Carrie, would you
Glitching, it's perfect.
this for aftermath?
yep.
Well, let's end this one and maybe shoot another one. Are you
Well,
available, Carrie?
Yeah, let's
let it's been going on perfect.
Yeah, let her finish.
I mean, I
Lauren.
guess maybe we don't know what the
Oh,
recording will
good,
be,
good.
but
Okay,
let's
finish.
have Kari finish the story. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so these Canadian, like when I'm at the Pisgah place, there's, I'm hearing these women and they like got rid of all their stuff and they're relying on this place to feed them and everything goes under. And I was like, my heart was like, oh my God. And then it's like, I look up and there's these trucks from Canada, 8 Canadian electric trucks start driving through the town. And we all are like, and I'm like, where do you come from? And it felt so supported and protected. And the love of that is just people from all over the world are coming here to support this town. And I'm like, who are you people? Like, who gets inspired to do this, to leave your own families, to take time off, to do this? And yet in my heart, I was like so in it and like I kept hearing messages, get out of here. You don't need to be here. It's not your heaven on earth. Like I don't have to stay in this energy. And yet I'm like seeing these people that feel like it's sacrifice or service coming in. And I'm like, what's the highest truth? Do I say stay and serve? And the next thing you know, Mark comes over all dressed up like he's dressed up to the T, comes to my house. Here's all my water. I'm getting out of. He's like, I'm getting out of here. I'm like, you're getting out of here? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna let these get things settled here. His wife and him are gonna go travel. And I was like,
There's your messenger. You're like, can we just do this? The easiest thing? Just leave?
yeah. And then
Do I have to hang
I
out in the muck? No.
I now was kind of like, now what do I do? What's my heaven on earth? And then another divine master is like, Kari, I'm 2 hours away. Drive here, bring Mason, my dog. I'll feed you. You can have a nice meal just to give you some space. And as I felt that, I was like, oh my God, that feels divine to receive that right now, just to take a break. It's already been 3 days in. And meanwhile, my sister, I have a ticket that was planned 3 months ago to go to my sister's to watch her daughter play volleyball in October. And Mason just happened to have a Monday and Tuesday off of school. And I've never gone to Arizona or see her in October. Like, who travels October 8th and 9th with the 11-year-old kid? It's like unheard of. And I remember booking the ticket, like, this is bizarre. Like, why? Like 3 months ago, I had it already booked. And she's like, just get on a plane and come here early. Just get out of there. And I couldn't hear her because of the trauma energy. I couldn't hear that interest. But our beloved Melanie got into me about like drive here for a day. And that was like my next perfect step. We had it all planned out for the next day. That was my plan. And we hang up the phone. It's like 10 p.m. I call my sister. She's like, Kari, if you can drive 2 hours, you can drive 2 hours to the airport and you can come here. And I'm like, she's right. I call the airport at 10 p.m. that night and I'm on a next flight at 11 a.m. the next morning.
Wow. Were you able to, like, the roads were okay from where you are to get to the airport?
Yeah, we didn't know, but I had a full tank of gas and we navigated out to get to that airport.
Oh, wow.
And got gas on the other side, not knowing if you could get gas. There was no gas from there to the airport. So you had to have full tanks to get out.
Wow. Look at all that. Like, I have what I need when I need it, like.
Yes. And Melanie, I talked to her after all of this, and she's like, Kari, after I did the invitation, after we set it all up, she woke up the next morning and all the energy went out of it. Or like right after we had it all planned out, she's like, she felt kind of bad inside. She's like, it was like she didn't even want me to come, or she couldn't, like, she kind of knew. And then I told her, I call her right when she had that feeling, and I said, I'm gonna go on the airplane. And I was kind of feeling bad because we just made plans. I'm on my way, and she rearranged her schedule to pick me up, and now it's like all changed. And she goes, I felt it. I knew you weren't going to be coming here. There was like no desire anymore. It was gone. And I go, you were my next perfect step. Like I couldn't go from trauma energy to Paradise Lane at my sister's. I could go from there to South Carolina to have a nice meal to Paradise Lane.
Yeah.
And even though it didn't
Wow.
go, and then how you each both had changed your mind on something, but then were afraid to say, but then when you did say it, you're like, wait, if we just get out of our ways and let the universe is like,
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is just like all I was hearing was integrity, like being in integrity, because she felt, I mean, gosh, it's just, I mean, what an important story right there
yeah,
about how just listening
Yeah.
and then tuning in again and
Mhm.
going, whoa, the energy has gotten out of this. And then just having that open heart
Yeah.
saying, something's changed. And you're like, oh my gosh, something's changed
Yeah.
here too.
And how
Like, this
each,
is so perfect. But we were both so willing to
but each
be the
moment was
presence.
on to the
Yeah,
next. Each moment was brought you to the next
yes,
step.
exactly. And we never know. We always want to
Yes.
see, okay, we're at point A. What does Z look like? But
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can't always jump to Z, right? In fact, we usually can't. We
Mhm.
have to have the steps in between. This is the whole
Sure.
human experience, right? This is what we came to enjoy each step. And it's so important that's such an important story, to just listen and say, oh, I can do that. Like, Mark was the messenger that opened up that whole opening and said, yep,
Right.
this is, you have another choice here, Kari. Like, that was him. And then you're like,
Mhm.
wait, I'm not sure I can do that.
Yeah.
And then Melanie calls and it's like, how can you do this? And you're like, I can do that. I can go have dinner
yeah,
and
yeah,
have
you
a
opened up, yeah,
shower and get, like, refreshed with somebody, giving me a hug and all that stuff. And then the universe is like, okay, and now we're gonna actually do the reveal. Now you can
Yeah.
hear your
oh,
sister with the
Yeah.
invitation.
And then I got to my sisters, and then I was like just trembling in a spiral energy. Like I was like just spinning and spinning. And I like, these are my beloved land and my family. Like I want to be in connection. And then I would look on Facebook and it was devastation and I would get sick. Like it
yeah,
would be a spin in me and I couldn't, and I see everyone like wanting to volunteer and I'm like, I could never volunteer in this energy that I was in. And it was really funny because then as I just said, I'm not doing that anymore. I gotta like come back to my heaven on earth for my highest service of joy. And I think this is such a new paradigm that it showed me in it. Like when our old paradigms of love is the sacrifice and service. So I had to shut it all off and come into my highest light. And I was able to still work my normal life, which everybody else is, for all my clients, I'm a therapist, their therapist all canceled the sessions for that week. And there's nothing wrong with that because they were in it, but I was able to still show up because I was being able to regulate myself and get out of that energy so I could still anchor in my knowing to then support guidance from the highest place, not from the trauma energy place. So that was interesting. And I was
Mhm.
like,
Beautiful.
let me be me. And then a beloved friend who I don't know very well reaches out and says, Kari, I'm working with some toddler moms. We're just gathering as a support group. Would you show up to that to hold space? And as I held space for them, it was like, that's the way I could be the electrician in this, like that's the way I
Yeah.
was aligned to my heart and my yes. And in there, though, I'm just going to speak this because I think it matters. People were feeling obligated to volunteer. And when they did it out of obligation, when I listened to their stories, they said it was kind of a waste of time. Like they were like spinning and like getting people medicine and going to the pharmacy. The pharmacy was closed. The the routes were complicated. Like they're waiting around, they're waiting for packages. Like it didn't fill them up and it wasn't efficient. And so I really learned that was a message for me, because there was a part of me like, what if I stayed there and I could serve more,
Yeah.
right? Versus staying, can I serve the highest in my pleasure?
Yes.
And when I'm in my pleasure, the opportunities that are light me up and light others in the most effective, efficient, powerful ways happen, even though I wasn't in the state.
I feel because you've expanded to this place within you too, because you know that energy. You've been there and you've, got to where you are. So you're the better for you to go follow what feels better for you so you can share with them, even if it's just holding
Because
space, right?
because
Just,
that's your
Well,
light.
yeah.
That's your
and that's
light.
what I was going to say that before this whole conversation started, and I don't remember the point, but it was like, well, who better to hold space? I think it was when you were saying that all your beloveds were all gathering at your house and the neighborhood and everything. And I had the thought, well, that's your service, is the ability to hold
Yeah.
space,
The light.
right?
Yeah.
Like that is, if people are going to, talk about you, it's like, yeah, the water goddess that holds so much loving space for all of us. And this is such another important part of the story, is this is how intuition works. Intuition, it guides you through your highest excitement. And when you're listening in your highest excitement, it places you where the
Yes.
divine wants you. But when you are listening through your 3D mind that says, well, I feel pressure and obligation or guilt or whatever the lower emotion is, that I should
do
really
this.
be in here in the trenches doing this. And the universe is like, ooh, but we really need someone to hold divine space. And you're not going to be able to do that from the trenches. And then
Yes.
you listened and they're like, wonderful. Now we have someone to hold the divine space so that people can see beyond this physical material world into the truth of love and everything. So it's such an important part of this.
And whatever is coming ahead for is such an important, like, global lesson, really, Kari, because the old ways aren't getting it. And the fact that you were able to give yourself permission, that's the key, is that you listened and you gave yourself permission to follow spirit's highest guidance and not, the old lexicon of what you were supposed to
I think it's also the being too, right? The being versus doing. So what's
Mhm.
stronger?
Yes.
Being you, even if it's over here, or staying there and doing because you felt like
The state of being is what's
yes.
creating. It's not the conditions and
Yeah.
circumstances like we spoke about last episode. It's what is the state of being, and then what are you doing from that state of being?
And you guys, I just want to celebrate this moment when I was like there and I shifted the energy and I was like, nothing is wrong.
Yeah.
Like nothing, like all of a sudden I really could feel myself in this quantum leap of energy of like, even though now my Facebook feed looks like this and the media is doing this, I had a knowing. I don't have to fix anybody. I don't have to fix that place. I don't need to help anyone. That I could be in my bliss and it was in the absolute perfection.
Yes.
It's the first time I didn't, like, we've talked about this teaching, like intellectually, I know it. I didn't know, like, if shit hits the fan, like, and if it looks like this, if I would not go into fixing mode. And I didn't do it. I just want to celebrate that for myself.
I want to
because
celebrate that too. And
Yeah,
this is
I'm
what
in for the
this whole
celebration.
period is about. It's that true embodiment
Yes.
of heaven on earth. It's like, oh, I am going to have the expanded viewpoint and move from that state of being. And it's glorious because
I think this calls for a celebration dance.
And if there's only love, right? If the truth is all love, then how can any of that stuff be other than love?
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whatever you choose, even if you did stay there and whatever it was. It's still like
Yeah.
you
Well,
were
and the
exactly where
people
you
that
meant to be. You're exactly
yes,
where you
and
meant
the
to
people
be.
that stayed there and helped from their like, oh my gosh, this is my highest joy to be able to be here. That's who we want to
Yeah.
be there
Yes.
and doing it from.
And I have a sacred sister that she's, she witnessed me leave and she's like, Kari, I'm 100% guided to be with my beloved home. She was not going to leave her home. She was in pure love and she was guided to shine the light in the trenches.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm so happy you're doing that. And
Yes.
that's your heaven on earth. And my heaven on earth is getting out of it.
Yes.
Like both were true. Both were true.
Yes.
Yes. And it's just that listening and it's we've all worked years on this ability to listen to that higher guidance
Yeah.
to lead us. And what a celebration when someone is doing exactly that in full expression of their higher self. And it's like, this is what my heart is guiding me to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. You didn't know why. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, here I am showing up for everyone.
Yeah.
And being able to be the support and the space holder for them because I'm in a different energy. I'm in that space of peace and acceptance and knowing. Oh,
And you had all these options. Like, hey, do you want to go here for dinner? Do you want to go to your sister's? Do you want to go, you opened up all these different opportunities. So you had choices. You had options. You're like, which one feels better?
And I
yeah.
totally feel like if we really listen to each person and how did this happen for you, I really believe we will hear that thread. So like I was able to up level my relationship with my sister in a way and perspective that I don't think would ever been, it just opened up that opportunity. Like I see her in a whole new light of reverence and respect. And I had to look through, like, so we got to work through our old stories and erase those up, right? And I feel like there's so many like gifts in this. And my sisterhood in Asheville, these women, like some of them are really called to be on the committees of the council and how we're like rebuilding. And I told them I cannot be any happier to know it's you all. And like one is like telling them all, slow down. Slow down. Do not take all of these beloved trees and put them through a mill because they are the resources to build the houses that came down. The earth gave us all of these trees to rebuild.
Yeah.
Wow.
But if we move too quickly, we'll put them through, make them sawdust to clean up versus we have all the resources we need to now build this new version of the new earth. We were just gifted it all. Beautiful trees down.
And
We could
that's
have
someone
taken
standing
those
in
down.
their power. That's someone standing in their heart-led power of wow. And this is what this whole heaven on earth is about, is everyone aligning to the source within them,
Yes.
their unique signature frequency of why God created them to experience a certain aspect of all of creation, right? And when everyone just stands in that of who they truly are, you do what you do, and then that lady, she's heading the committee and she's like, everyone just needs to slow down so that we're creating heaven on earth here. There's no rush, right?
Yeah. And you already
know,
are. You're already heaven on earth, standing like the I am. We are all the I am source.
And when we
Yes.
move together forward, this is how we're going to do it. It's like we all do these small little feelings and followings and hearing our hearts through the day. But Kari, this is like a milestone. This whole event is so catalyzing. It's like a litmus test of everyone's consciousness and moving forward in that brilliant way. All of you, it's like a fairy tale, really.
Yeah.
And you know that what just came, and maybe you're already doing this, is each of those committees starting the committee meeting off with a few moments of silence for everyone to connect into their higher wisdom and their heart and move, and then open the meeting from that state of being. Wow. That would, wow.
I'm just holding that vision. I mean, I am not part of anything in those places, maybe, but this is how we're a part of it. Like we're
Yes.
creating.
Exactly. I'm just holding that vision too. I like that idea just sprang forward and I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, that's how I'm going to see it. That's how
yeah,
they're all starting now. Somebody's
yeah.
coming up with that and they're going to start that way.
I
And
know.
wow,
And the women I know that are gonna do it, they would do things like that. Like they're so magnificent.
yeah,
Yeah.
so they'll be the ones doing it. Isn't that wow? Oh
That's
my
why.
gosh,
Amazing.
that's amazing.
And there's so much love in this area of Asheville and you know, even like when I remember when she told me like everyone needs to slow down. I'm like, let it happen fast. I'm okay with it happening fast. So you can always feel these like how we create.
Yes.
Like do it slow, quickly.
Like a dance, right? It's like a dance.
It's like, I don't like driving by all that garbage with my children every day to going to school. I don't want to look at it. Like, I want that to be picked up quickly. Like, we don't need to slow down. And then she's like, but what do I focus on? So we're all in the sisterhood. And she's like, group, what should I focus on? And I look at her and I'm like, that has to come from you, dear one,
Yeah.
because your focus is creating your part of the heaven on earth and in your way, and your vibration is just as important as like the way I would do it or she would do it or they would do it. Like when we're really each in our own power and tuning in, like what is my vision, what is my way, and then like we come together. We don't even come together, it just is, it just happens in the, I call it the inanna energy, the energy of inanna.
Donna. Is that like a goddess? Or is that like
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's the guardian of the date warehouse in Babylon.
Ah,
yeah, you know, I got all these readings that she's like the goddess of the Sumerian, like early of all the goddesses. Like she's like, if you see her in a museum or something, like the oldest relic, kind of like, you know, old looking. And she's kept coming to me, Inanna, Inanna.
Anna.
And as this, you're not going to find this on the internet or anywhere else, but this is how I've grown in the last 2 years of being with her name, is that we have goddess like of Sophia, the womb of creation, like in the darkness, so the divine feminine kind of aspect of God. There's so many different aspects of the divine, right? And for me, the Inanna is the divine intelligence. It's the oak seed and the pine seed, and the intelligence that creates an oak and an intelligence that creates a pine. It's and the intelligence of us nourishing our seed and it evolving into a bloom that's uniquely ours.
that
That
talks about the mustard seed you talked about our last couple shows. That's so
Oh,
funny
really?
that you're talking
And I
about
don't
that.
know why I call that divine intelligence the energy of Inanna. So I'm open to expanding that. That literally has only come through me that I know of.
No, my
But
gosh.
that's how
Yeah.
I feel her. That's how I feel her. This really uniqueness. There's no way our human could do it. And it's bringing in all the particles of creation in that the fullest expression of whatever that seed is.
Wow. And then here we are. All of us.
It's kind of like what's the using the energetics of the divine Inanna of like the Asheville area and witnessing that intelligence to the fullest potential being nourished and watered with the perfect elements to create the highest bloom for that community. And I usually do it more personally, but I love doing it with you all for that collective area.
I
Wow.
love that.
Yeah,
That's
me too.
beautiful.
What a beautiful blessing.
I feel like that just
And
goes with
I'm just going to
everything we're
share this
talking
really
about.
quick. Yeah. So when Giovanna and I went to Montana 2.5 years ago, before we were looking for places to stay while we were up there, and I ran into this place called Paws Up Resort. And it's this very high end 5-star place that has tents and cabins and log homes or tree houses, but it's like $1,800 a night. And I was like, whoa, I'd never even imagined that. And it's on an old cattle ranch. And so there's thousands of acres and just a really high-end resort. And it was, so this is 2.5 years ago. I was just beginning to learn how to channel and really connect in. And they're like, why don't you go to Paws Up Resort while you're there and tell them that you want to be the communication director. And I'm like, what? I don't have any experience on being, and they're like, no, the communication director for the land and the animals and the waters and the houses and the whole resort. So what you just mentioned right there, the whole Asheville thing, you're like the communication director. Like, it's not the communication director as far as like putting out the information to the public. It's connecting into the entire beingness of that area and speaking for all of the different beings that are represented there, the lands and the water and the animals and the trees and the houses and all that stuff. So go for it. I love that. That's so beautiful. Good. The communication director for certain areas of this. Oh, this is beautiful. So
Phoebe, it's so
beautiful.
funny. Yesterday, Michelle brought me to this space in Oregon with black stones on a lighthouse. She's only been there twice. It's not even far from her house, but it's like the part of the beach she never ever goes to. And she was guided to go there with me. And it's all these like lava black stones. And they said that we can't, like, it's very unique and we could walk right down to them, but there's other places in Oregon that it's hard to get to them. And it's like the deposit of the volcanoes. I'm not good at geography and this stuff, but it's like washed up underneath and it's like landing here on the beach in Oregon at this spot. And we knew we needed to be there. And it's like it's wild, the sound walking on them and we're like laying there and touching them. And I'm like, what's the message? What's the message? And, Capri got it. And she goes, it's helping us bring in the new technology of communication.
There we go. I love it. Oh my gosh. How beautiful.
Oh.
How
I get that.
beautiful.
Yeah, you were like on top of Mount St. Helens, like parts of Mount St. Helens is what you were feeling there, Wow.
That almost comes like not about sharing all this here, but the Mount Adams and Chantel with the beings is now
Yeah.
no longer here.
Yeah, it's about the communication with the
Yep.
seen and the unseen.
Yes.
It's one. And we've expanded the conversation, right? Because we decided at whatever point in our life, we're like, there's more. And then we started going inward and we got that communication going with our higher self, which you just demonstrated a beautiful example of totally embodying that. And now it's like, and how will you be seen in the world? Because you are speaking for all of creation, and all of creation is speaking to you and through you.
Would that be like all the fairy tales too? Like, you got Cinderella and you got the birds, and you're like, or the Roger Rabbit, where they're like, the beings are beside you, like, cartoon form or not cartoon form. We're like, they're here, like
it's all here.
There's no veil, like, okay, let's just take the veil right out of here. So there's no seen and unseen. It just is, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's so exciting. Oh my gosh. That's so cool, Kari. Thanks for sharing that too.
Yeah.
These are so delicious. I'm feeling the vibration. I hope everyone that listens can feel it. Like when I really like slow down to feel this moment, it's like I taste it.
I do too.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the whole other conversation, right?
Yeah.
Is the blending.
Ladies are
and
delicious.
Does it taste sweet?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
The expansion of all the senses beyond what we've known. Yeah. And the combining of them. It's so exciting. Mm.
Wow. What a hugely expanded conversation you brought to us, Kari.
Yeah.
Really, really, really honor you, my dear sister, my beautiful one.
I feel like when you were there too, though, because we're all so connected and because we were there, it just felt like I felt like I was there with you. You know what I mean? Like we were there, and even though we see the news, it was like hearing your stuff and then seeing the new or like seeing what's happening. It was able to be like, no, the higher perspective for being there and going and holding that space. So whether I'm in my bed at night and you're there, it's still that, alchemizing all the stuff of like, no, this is love, this is pure love. They're okay. They're, like you're exactly where you need to be. And we were there and this is all connected, like Mother Earth and, holding and that thing that keeps saying is about building your house on the rock instead of sand. So that keeps coming up to me, that story, right? Build your house on a rock and not on sand. But and then you got sand for the water, so that's kind of like you can have it on sand too. It won't fall over. It's like
I didn't
whatever
want to build
stories.
it with sand. I had no desire to build with sand. Like,
Yeah, you're like,
just to be clear in the universe, I like stone. Or those whatever new formulas coming in. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you, Giovanna, for doing that with me. And seriously, for this community. Like, I really just can't imagine doing it alone, but
and you
knowing that
weren't, and
we're
you're
all
not,
together.
because we're all together. We were all
Yeah.
there together. So it's just like we danced in that house all together, right? With Mark. Mark was
It
there.
brought back all the love. It brought back
Yeah.
all the love that we shared when we were there, and it was just still there. It always is. It always is.
I
It
feel
will
like it's
always
all going
be.
to keep unfolding. Like there's still a lot of gifts to be unfolded here. It's just the beginning of all these gifts, right?
Thank you, Kari. Thank you. Oh, thanks for
Thank
being a
you
sparkle girl
all.
always.
This was a longer one, but it was good. It was good.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I hope I didn't go too
No,
long.
no, I don't think
Oh,
we
no, no,
need.
no. We could go on forever. We may have to do
Oh,
episode 2. We have to do part
I
B,
love, I
B,
love
C,
you
D.
all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.